How heavy was it? Did it feel like you were about to poop your pants?
Yeah.
Fucking great. I love that for you.
We'll clean you up, buddy.
Boss bitch. Boss bitch.
All right, you guys, welcome to Boss Bitch Radio. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the top 10 tips. That's a lot of T's. Top tips. Tits.
Like my shirt.
We have those too. For growing your glutes, and also we got some really good cues in the Q&A. So we'll cover those at the end.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, how has our glute training been?
So good.
That's all we do these days.
Yeah. It's
all
like every day is butt stuff.
Butt stuff.
But it's not butt stuff.
It
It's
is.
butt stuff.
It's butt stuff. I did butt stuff today.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
How'd it go?
Great. Love it.
Did you do hip thrusters?
I did
How
3
many?
times a week.
Which ones did you do today?
I did 5 sets of hip thrusters today.
Hi. I see our friends coming in. Hi, ladies.
So for those of you
And
that are
gentlemen.
listening on Instagram, we also do these live recordings. I mean, you're listening on the podcast. We do the live recordings. They're over on Instagram. So if you find my Instagram, you will also find this in video if you want to actually see how cute and not cute we really are today.
I know. We are potatoes.
Yeah, but today I'm still sore from this weekend. Like our leg day in Sacramento, we were out of town. It was really good. One of our fans, podcast fans, that was super fun.
Allie, if you're on or if you watch this, comment below.
Yeah, that
Say
was super
hi
fun.
so we can know your Instagram handle.
Yeah, she's 5 weeks out from a show. She saw us acting fools all up in the gym as per the usual, peacocking around, just doing our thing. And she's like, "Hey, I love your podcast." And I was like, "Oh, hi.
People know you."
That's weird."
And I was like, "Oh, hi." And she's like, "No, I know you too." And I was like, "Oh."
And then we had
okay.
almost Dr. Crystal too. So it was kind of fun.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. That was a really good workout. Yeah.
Can we do that like every weekend? Just go to random gyms and like work out?
Like that's part of my retirement plan. That was what I wanted to do is retire, drive around in some kind of like RV situation, which I would not be driving because I can't even drive my own car without hitting a pole. Let's be real.
We know.
But I would love to travel and just go to different states, cities, and visit different meathead gyms. And yeah, that's my like, that would be like living the dream.
Yeah.
for
We
me.
went to Fitness Systems in Sacramento.
Wonderful.
Great. There was all kinds of fun stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
It
It was definitely a lifter's gym.
We sprinkled in some shoulders just because they had some machines that we don't usually get to use.
That was super fun. But that's what we usually do. We just like to, hit up different gyms and stuff. We try not to go to like super corporate-y gyms.
Right.
Just because we like to support local gyms. And then we know there's also usually like some lifters, like serious lifters. Not that corporate gyms don't have serious lifters, but we just like to be amongst our own kind.
Yeah. It's different.
I mean, there was like photos of bodybuilders and shit on the wall.
I was like, do we know anybody?
I'm like, I feel right at home here, people. It was great.
I was like, oh, I went to that show.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
It was a good time. So we're here today to talk about growing your glutes. That is generally why most women seek us out.
Yes.
Either via the internet or the studio.
You know what? I kind of want to talk about this a little bit because people see me and they see me train and they're like, she just must have had a butt like always, forever.
Mm-hmm.
No, I had like an unbutt. Like it went in. It didn't come out. It was like,
concave.
Yeah, it went the wrong way. It was like back thigh, and then there was like a
hollow movement. Yeah,
it was like a valley.
Yeah, I was the same way. Forever and ever and ever. I have pictures. I think I've shared off on my Instagram. Maybe you need to share them again. But I was the girl that had zero ass. It was pancake ass. Literally was what they would call me in high school.
Oh,
the cute boys that are now,
not cute boys.
regretting their words. But yeah, it was pancake ass. Your friend with the flat ass. That's what my friend Nikki would tell me. She's like, oh, they would say, oh, your friend with a flat ass. I'm like, great. So from then on, I had a complex and would wear a sweater tied around my waist all the time in high school.
Yeah, my ass was so flat that there was 2 Amandas, right? One was Big Booty Amanda. That was not me.
It's you now.
And then there was Big Titty Amanda. and that was me.
Okay, yes.
So now I just got both.
Great.
So we're good. We're good with that.
We're good. Stacked in the front and the back.
Yes. So basically, we grew our glutes, you guys. So if you do not have the big, round, juicy booty that you are searching for, okay?
It's not going out of style anytime soon.
Oh, it's not. It is not.
It is here to stay, friends. And I am not mad about that.
I mean, that back view, when you walk away, you got to leave an impression.
Oftentimes, I prefer to enter a room ass first.
I want to, yes, please. Can we do that? I feel like
I need to put a little like beep, 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 like a little button on my shoulder.
Back up.
Yeah, back that ass up.
Yeah. Okay. So like how did we get here? How did we get these
four score and 45 years ago?
Back in my day.
Back in my day. Yeah, it's been some time. A lot of mistakes made.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of dumb training things, trying new things. We've been like the guinea pigs of all the things. And now we don't do new shit because new shit is, sure, there's like variations of things, right? Of like the same, of like the same things. So many
variations.
But we'll
get into that.
Yeah.
Too.
But there's only so much you can do. So we're going to start with our top. Actually, should we start with we should leave the number one tip for last. So we like keep them on a cliffhanger. No? Okay, no, just kidding. Let's start with the most important one first, okay?
Listen. Okay. I love that people are very excited to get into the gym, especially when they're like, ooh, I want to start lifting weights. When I see anybody in the gym, I am like, fuck yeah, you go. Get that shit. Even if form is a little bit off, which, for trainers like us, it's so difficult to not want to help.
I want a backseat coach everyone in the gym.
Everyone.
It's like a backseat driver.
Everyone. And like
turn here. Park there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So number one over everything. Okay.
Number one tip.
Gonna be your form.
Form over everything.
What do you see most with should we pick one? Let's pick squats.
Okay. Well, before we even go there. Actually, somebody wanted to post it in the question box, but there isn't enough room in the question box. So she DM'd me today and was saying she's been training for a minute and she can go heavier, but it cuts her range of motion. Her form starts to suffer a little bit and her range of motion starts to decrease by several inches. So what should she do? Should she go ahead and ego lift because she can lift heavier weight, or should she pull back and work on her form? And I said, 1,000% work on your form. I don't fucking care about ego lifting at all, So that is going to be the first order of operations, is ensuring that you have proper form. I think obviously for you to recruit the right muscles, but also to prevent injury, because then you'll be screwed.
I think so. If you are like brand new newbie, I know that most of the people that are listening to this podcast are like somewhat into like wanting to know how to weight lift. They want to bodybuild maybe, but I know that we have a lot of people that are also like brand spanking new. So what I would suggest for you, because I know that Google and YouTube can be like this vortex of like unknown and all kinds of things. Everybody's got an opinion, right? But what I would do is I would invest in a personal trainer if you have never done any type of weightlifting or you don't know about form. Even if like you're not seeing them like a bunch of times, but maybe just grab like an intro offer like we have at the studio, maybe do a couple of months, one time a week, just so you can kind of get in there and really ensure that you know that you are doing it correctly.
Yeah. Because most of the time people just go in and they get on a machine and they're like, oh, sure, I'm going to figure this out. Or they get under a barbell and they're like, I'm just doing stuff. And it's first of all, one, it's scary. And two, if you're not doing things right, you're going to just continue to compound bad habits. And over time, that's just going to make things even worse. You're going to take much longer to get to your results, and you are going to potentially hurt yourself.
Right. So what I see a lot, especially with ladies that come to me, because, obviously our studio is women only, not to say that I have not trained men before, but they have a hard time finding their glutes. They are mostly quad dominant. And that is where you go into number 2.
Tip number 2
is glute activation, really feeling the muscle and knowing that that's the one you're using, right? I see people going through squats or hip thrusters and they're just like a fucking rabbit. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to get you that engagement that you're looking for. So what we like to do, especially, actually we haven't done this in a while. Glute activation.
Well, let's be real. We know how to activate our glutes. So I'm not saying that that's not an excuse or that's a valid excuse for us not to do a glute activation. But for us, because we've been doing this for so long, a lot of times set 1 for us of an exercise is our glute activation.
Yeah.
Or it's our warm-up set, but also, we're getting super focused. We're like really kind of tuning into our body. We're, making sure that we're locking out at all points that need to be locked out. And so that's really how we do glute activation. But again, we've been training forever.
Yeah.
So for us, we comprehend that. But for a lot of our clients, what do you usually do for glute activations? So you can give them some ideas too.
When we're warming up, so there's a couple of different ways. Like if you're a newbie, you're warming up, you're trying to get your body moving, you want to get the muscle warm. But also if you're rolling into a glute activation, your next thing that you're going to want to be doing is making sure that that is the muscle that you are using, right? So say you're going to be doing a squat. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. And sometimes you're going to be feeling your quads, but your goal is to be able to kind of rock back into your heels, go with a wider stance. And then technically your muscles should be tense the whole time. But usually the best way to feel this, especially when you're a newbie, is at the bottom. Whenever your hamstrings and your glute muscles are stretched, you want to tighten them up super tight before you get to the top and squeeze them all the way through the movement. Another thing that you can do is add a booty band.
Yeah,
booty bands are the best.
My favorite, I actually did these today by myself. You should be very proud. Is before I started training, and we do activations too. Like we go and do mobility and things like that. So we are like getting kind of primed before we train, but is just I did some lying hip bridges.
Okay.
So I did probably like 2 sets of, 12 or 15 just to kind of feel my hamstrings engage, make sure that when I'm doing my hip thrusters, I'm not just doing all hamstrings. I am doing also glutes. So I'm feeling my glute squeeze. And then I also do single leg hip bridges because right now my right glute is overtaking the work in movements that are with both feet. So like I did barbell RDLs today. If we do toes elevated cable RDLs or anything like that where we're using 2 legs, my right glute is taking over. So I'm working now on trying to isolate them separately so I can wake up the left side because it's starting to be a little stubborn.
Have you ever, I don't know. I know that some people have seen me do this, but stuff. So have you ever tried to activate like both your cheeks at the same time, right? You're like,
yeah.
Ooh. So if you see me, I'm squeezing my cheeks right now, both at the same time. Well, your next level of engagement is going to be one cheek at a time.
Oh yeah. I love doing that.
So
left cheek, right cheek,
left cheek, right cheek.
Yeah.
Once you can do that, that is when you know that you've really gotten the glute activation. The engagement is in your brain. A lot of the times I'll tell ladies, especially when they're brand new, close your fucking eyes.
Yeah.
Don't fall over. Okay. Don't fall over.
I mean, for things, I was actually doing that today for hip thrusts. I was like closing my eyes and I was like, okay, so I'm doing this thing right now because we're not training together.
We are not.
We're not training
together
right now. Yeah. But it's like I'm getting in and out faster and it's fine. But I'm like, with every rep, I'm envisioning what I want my ass to look like.
Wow.
And like picturing it like getting pumped up and like juicy and just big. And yeah, it's like I'm having a whole experience with my ass.
Okay.
But I'm also taking a lot of like pre-workout stuff that's like clarity and focus and all that stuff. So it's just like I'm in the fucking zone.
So your brain is connected to your butt.
My brain is super connected to my butt.
So that's number 2, y'all. You got to connect your brain to your butt. So what I usually say is put your brain in your butt.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's the way we do that.
I'm doing that. Okay. Number 3.
Heavy compounds.
Heavy compound exercises.
My favorite.
Yes. I would say the most important heavy compound movement is going to be a hip thrust.
Hip thrust,
for sure.
Hip bridges, B-stamp hip thrust, banded hip thrust, 3-second pause hip thrust.
And that's why I'm saying, like, we're doing the same shit. We're not adding any kind of like, okay, balance on a Bosu with one foot and do an RDL good morning with a barbell on your back. Like, I see people doing this at the gym. I'm like, first of all, you're going to kill yourself. And second of all, you're being completely ineffective. Sure, that looks cool, but not really. So heavy compounds, hip thrusts, we have different variations, as she was saying, and that's the important key is that you're, if you've been lifting forever like we have, and we've done 18 billion hip thrusts over the course of our lives, we throw these things in to challenge our glutes in different ways and also just to stave off boredom too, right? To do some things that are a little more different. Why are you giving me that look?
I'm not.
Because I hate it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. So that's the thing too, is, like there's going to be some exercises that you're going to be like, I hate this.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know what I tell everybody in the studio? Good. Because we're going to be doing it every fucking day almost.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing too. Like when people come to us or, they hire a personal trainer or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to do things that you probably are going to avoid if you go by yourself, right? You're going to be like,
100%.
I don't feel like doing that today. Oh, it's snack time. So, with training, like with us at the studio or with Glute Camp, for example, she's got it programmed. I mean, unless you have an injury or something that we have to work around, that's different. But other than that, yeah, you signed it up for it. You're going to do it.
I'll tell you right now, though, I think hip thrusters are probably one of the best movements for anybody that does kind of have any injuries or whatnot. I never usually have any knee problems with that.
Nope.
Back, I can always modify. We can lighten it up. It can be body weighted. There's just always certain ways to get around things. Another thing we didn't say about hip thrusts is glute bridges, the one that you can be on the ground, and then one thing that I want to say, because I know that it's difficult to be like, I want to get this big barbell. I need to get this bench. I need to do this like squishy thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, it makes a huge difference. You will be surprised with how much your ass can lift.
It's definitely something that women who are maybe a little more beginner or novice are generally speaking intimidated to set up at the gym.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot, right? Like I was there by myself today. I've been doing this for 100 years and there's like, I don't usually go at that time in the morning. So like there was a new cluster of gym boyfriends that I'm not used to. So I was like trying to be looking cute and not doing dumb things like dropping a plate on my foot and stuff, right? So, so I'm setting it up and it's a lot, right? Like usually when we're together, like you have, we work in tandem really well without even speaking to each other. So when you're by yourself, it's a kind of a pain. And we're lucky that our gym has a weight crane, or whatever they call it, and just kind of like lifts the barbell.
I call it a jack.
Yeah, it lifts the barbell off the ground, so that way that makes the loading and unloading much easier. But I can't tell you how many times I've had new athletes send me their training videos where I'm like, okay, send me your hip thrust. And they're doing it with like those cute little short barbells.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's like 50 pounds.
With that, you can barely lift that thing up and over you for one. And then you got to get on this bench. And like I had somebody that was trying to do 90 pounds. I'm like, girlfriend, we need to get some bumper plates. We need to get you on a real bar. You're ready to graduate. Okay.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
So that's and granted, like you don't want to go 0 to 135 pounds on the bar in like overnight, but we've done that before with some clients,
Yeah. So actually with my glute camp girls right now, I have some newer girls that have like very just like don't know form very much. So we've definitely started from the beginning. And those girls started from literally body weight with a band. We are 4 weeks in, 160 pounds on the bar.
Yeah. And I've seen, so we usually go around the same time to the gym often, right? And so I see some of the same faces or whatever. And I've been just watching just the nature of just resting between sets or whatever. And I see these few girls, the same girls that keep coming in. And I see them like on the leg press, and I know they've been coming for a long time because they've been coming as long as we've been, basically there or whatever. And of course I don't know their story. They could have an injury or whatever, but let's just assume that there's nothing wrong. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, honey, boo boo, you can do so much more than one plate on each side of the leg press.
It's scary a little bit.
Right.
It is.
So it's great to have people come in to us and see like all these bodies, right? And they're like seeing girls who are in prep or whatever that look phenomenal, and these great bikini athletes are not like jacked and like out of their gourds looking like men. And they're doing like 5 plates on each side, and they're like, okay. Like they think they're going to get big and bulky. And I'm like, does she look bulky?
Yes.
She's like 129 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
okay.
we did upper body today, and those girls were lifting some heavy weights this morning. Another one of my favorites, if you guys are on my Instagrammies, I love squats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing about that is I feel like a lot of people feel them in their quads more than they do their glutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to come up with glute activation. This is going to come up in your brain, your engagement. I think a really great place to start, especially if you're not going to be with a trainer, is get yourself under a Smith machine.
For sure.
For squats.
Mm-hmm.
And, sumo, that we've been doing those like at least once a week. Sumo, Smith, squats, amazing for glute activation.
I will say I do in terms of hypertrophy training for more bodybuilding, which is like basically sculpting your body for the aesthetics of like having a great ass. It's totally possible with doing a heavy compound like a barbell squat, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I have found, at least in my experience personally and also working with clients, is that I prefer a Smith machine for that. A Smith and a sumo stance. And you're not going to be able to lift as heavy but that's not the point. We're not trying to be power lifters. We're trying to be bodybuilders or sculpting your body to the physique that you want. So she has a really great point. Sumos are my favorite. I will say that she is also correct with squats. Most of the time, the transfer for that in terms of what muscle takes over is going to be your quads, but there are some tweaks to that too. And if you work with a personal trainer who knows their stuff, they can help you figure out the right stance for that. So, and you don't have to go super heavy for that either. So
I know I want to go on a super long tangent on this. Like, don't go heavy, slow your ass down.
Right.
But we're going to get it.
Hold on.
We're going to get lost.
One more exercise that I find.
I love these.
Well, two. Okay. Go ahead.
Lunges.
And then I'll finish with the last.
With lunges, I really love them. I feel like they are done incorrectly a lot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just as like kind of thinking about this, when you are trying to do a lunge, you want to think as like your standing leg in the front is going to be straight up, right? You're going to have a bend 90 degrees in the front.
90.
Back one in the back is going to go 90. That knee goes straight down to the floor. One thing that I've been able to kind of be able to show some of the ladies in the studio, especially ones that are like, I can't feel my glutes, I feel my quads only. If you leave everything where it's at from the waist down and you lean forward to stretch out your hamstring and your glute, that is going to make it a glute lunge. If you are more upright when you are standing, that is going to be a quad lunge. Very different, okay?
And also your stance too.
Yeah, you can pull it in. I feel like I could probably go from a quad to a glute lunge without moving anything.
Because we can, in our brains, we go bibbity bobbity boo, go to my butt.
Boo. Yes.
And like we can do that. But with clients, we generally will move their feet around and we'll say, if this is going to be quad, we want you in a narrow, more stance. And then
another thing too is your depth. Okay. This is the one thing.
Don't get me started. Don't even get me started.
I know. Okay. So your back knee should be hitting the floor, people. And if you're not hitting the floor yet, you need to be like pulling the weight back and practicing that shit until you can get down there.
In place, stationary.
Yeah, no movement yet.
And when we say hitting the floor, we're like a paper, like a small 1/4 inch stack of paper should be between your knee and the floor.
I had shorts on at the gym the other day.
And
I had
your knees were dirty.
Clean my knees.
Yes. But again, we don't want you slamming your knees, but we, at the studio, we have rubber floors, which is wonderful. And so we're like, your knee should lightly kiss the floor.
You ain't making out.
You're not making out.
We're not making out.
Just a little baby kiss, a little peck. And if my back is turned and I turn around and I see you cheating, I'm going to call your ass out. Okay.
That's my favorite
Okay.
part about the studio. There are mirrors everywhere, and I don't have to be looking at you to know what's happening.
No, we're like moms. We have eyes in the back of our head. Okay. So, okay. Last of my favorite compounds or exercises for glutes is going to be an RDL. So there's a bunch of different variations of that. Romanian deadlift is what that stands for. I personally prefer dumbbells over the barbell just because I feel like you can move a little bit better than having the fixed bar. It tends to be a little bit better for people, especially if you have low back issues.
Loving
I know.
doing good mornings on the hack squat right now.
And there's also that too.
I love that.
So those are our top favorite glute exercises. Then we're going to get onto some other things that are also important, but they're not compounds. And we're going to touch on those in a second.
Yes.
So number 4, most important thing in training your glutes is
progressive overload.
There
Okay,
you go.
friends. So I love y'all, but you are not going to grow a glute with a booty band.
Or 2 glutes.
Well, you know.
Yes.
But also you are not going to grow your butt cheeks if you are not trying to go heavy every week. If you just pick up a 20-pound dumbbell and you use that every week, your butt ain't going to change.
No.
Okay. And that's the thing. That 20 pounds going to get easier and you're just going to keep doing it. And you're just going to be like, it's fine. I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing. When in reality, if you're trying to tone and grow, you ain't doing what you need to be doing.
No. And I think a lot of people don't realize that your glute has 3 muscles. Okay. So it's glute max, glute med, glute min.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest muscle group in your body. Bigger than any other muscle is going to be your glute muscle. Doesn't matter if you have a small butt, but just comparatively speaking, body to butt for body, your glutes are going to be the largest muscle group in your body, which means those big muscles can take a lot more than just body weight. And if you want to change the shape of them, you want to grow them and, essentially, give them a booty lift without a BBL.
Yes.
You're going to need to do more than just doing air squats, body weighted squats, body weighted lunges, boot campy type workouts. Sure, you might tighten up a little bit because you'll drop some body fat and things and maybe, tighten up some muscle, but you're not going to be making significant changes by just doing that.
The inches will not change.
Not a ton.
No.
I mean, if you're dieting and stuff, sure, your body will shrink. But as far as the actual muscle group changing, it's not going to be done by way of body weight stuff.
This always makes me cringe a little bit. But what you are doing essentially when you are adding weight, getting heavier, is you're basically making little tiny rips in your muscle. And that is what is going to, I want to say reload, but I know that's wrong.
Oh, no. That's going to repair.
There you go. See?
Well, no. So the muscle tears are essentially the breakdown of the muscle tissue when you're weight training. And then the recovery process is where you repair and
they grow.
And it changes the shape by way of your food and, your supplementation and your rest and recovery and all that. So progressive overload, essentially, don't lift like a little bitch. And also, increase. But it's not going to be you're not going to see these gigantic leaps in your progression of weights week to week. Unless you're super new, like she was explaining with her glute camp girls, and they're super green, super new, you're going to see a rapid increase. And then that curve of change is going to level off, slowly have some peaks and valleys, but it's not going to continually climb like that unless you're roided out of your head.
So what we do next, right, is once you start getting those booty and your weights are starting to get up, you're noticing you're like, well, I can't really go any heavier without suffering on form. What you're going to do is you're going to start tracking your weights, okay, tracking your reps, tracking your sets, and trying to grow on that weekly. So whether you are trying to, get more reps, maybe you're adding 2 pounds, 5 pounds, maybe you're having a day where your sleep was not as well that night and you're keeping right where you are. This is a long game. It is not a short game. You are not going to grow a BBL booty in 3 months. Okay. It doesn't work that way.
And the funny thing is we've had perfect strangers ask us if we like, I had several people ask me that New Year's when Crystal and I went to that party.
Yeah.
Perfect strangers, you can see them. And it was like a boisterous, swingers party. Let's just be real. And it was super fun. Lots of 1,000 people. And we're just like having the time of our lives dancing and doing all these crazy things, just in scantily clothed. And I had multiple people ask me about my butt, if it was real. I'm like, yes, it is.
That
indeed.
happens. It happens.
And they were like, I'm sorry, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, yeah. Okay. Is your butt real? I'm like, oh my God, thank you. I was like, that is so sweet. You thought I had a BBL.
Yes. Some of our clients as well. Our clients, our athletes, they get asked the same thing.
Somebody asked me about Dee's butt.
Yeah.
One of our girls that's competing, she's competed with us.
And you want to know what's really funny is I told her that her butt looked fake today.
I saw her at the gym actually today, and I had to do a double take, and I'm like, damn. It's like sticks out. It almost looks like a, I don't know, like a cartoon butt.
The person who asked if Dee's butt was fake, I was like, hey, your butt be looking fake too.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
She's doing all the things.
She is. So you are able to grow a booty through the gym and not getting a BBL. Why? Yeah. Because we want the legs to match that ass. Okay.
For sure. Yes. Okay. Number 5, we're moving on to the 5th thing that you should consider if you're trying to grow your glutes is moderate to high volume training. So meaning you need to perform enough sets and reps to hit the glutes effectively.
Yeah.
Without overtraining, right?
Because we do have a lot.
Overtraining is very, very rare and very hard. However, because we are exposed to so many people at the studio, we do see that happen. We were talking about this yesterday.
Actually, more often than not.
Yes.
Well, I mean, with those certain people that are like, I love working out. This is my thing. And it's like, okay, I know what you're trying to do here and you think more is better, but typically it's not.
No.
Okay.
It's actually the worst.
It's worse. Yeah. Because basically you're working that basically it's their whole body. But if we're talking just in terms of glutes, if you're working overtraining that, you're breaking it down and you're not giving it enough time to recover. And that means you're just like taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back.
Well, even the other thing to consider too is, so let's just say for the extreme side of things for this conversation with like our athletes, right? Our bikini athletes, our wellness athletes, sometimes they get up to training 5 and 6 times a week, with 4 of those very likely being lower body days.
Yeah.
But they're not doing spinal loaded all 4 days, a ton of heavy compounds every day. They're going to do some of these other things that we're going to talk about here in a second to kind of like, complement their heavy compounds, but they're not drilling down so much all the time. But so that's the excessive side of things where people can get too carried away.
Right.
And do, heavy compounds like 4 or 5 days a week and wonder why they're always tired and their body's beat up and they're exhausted.
Remember when we were doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
We were definitely feeling ourselves.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
It's great.
We were peacocking a little bit.
Now we're being better. We're following the rules. So basically what you want to do is you want to find a good spot for you. So if we're talking in terms of like our training, we will typically do 2 warm-up sets. Those do not count as our sets, right? And then we're going to do another 4 to 5 sets typically, depending on what the weight is. And we might work our way up and then also work our way back down on that last set, depending on how things feel. So, sets and reps, if you're getting up to the point where you're doing like 20, 25 reps, listen.
No, stop that.
Listen.
Stop it right now.
Go heavier. Thanks.
Knock that shit off before I slap shit.
I love it. Whenever I'm in the studio, right, I'm always asking. I love it how clients are like, I don't know how to answer your question.
It's a trick question every time.
How did that feel? And then they're like, oh, it was good. And I'm like, oh, great. We can put more. And they're like, wait, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, scale of 1 to 10. How did it feel?
Yeah.
Guess what they usually tell me?
It was too light.
7. I'm like 7. I love a 7. That means you can go heavier.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, if you're getting to 15 reps, you can go heavier. Another thing that I hear a lot in this well, anywhere, actually, not even in the studio. I only got 10 reps.
What do I do, Coach Glitter?
How heavy was it? Did it feel like you were about to poop your pants?
Yeah.
Fucking great. I love that for you.
We'll clean you up, buddy.
I actually did get that question. Somebody was like, does anybody ever poop their pants? And I was like, well, typically that's our question to know that it was good for you, but they never actually tell us if they poop their pants or not.
No, we've had people like pee a little.
Oh, I've peed a little.
Yeah. But I mean, it's fine. And come on, it's fine.
Listen, we're not making you do jumping jacks to pee your pants. Okay. You're lifting 200 pounds. You're going to pee your pants.
Yeah. Sometimes. Well, it's just, the pressure of the bar in your bladder. It's not like you're doing anything wrong, but all kidding aside, it is important for you to be able to progressively overload and use the effective amount of like reps and sets. But the primary thing that needs to be focused is that your form still is impeccable. So today, for example, I trained today. I was on like set number 4. It was a working set, which for us means that's a poop your pants heavy set.
Yeah.
And I took pump today, which is, let me just tell you, taking pump product, which is what a lot of guys or, people in general take for upper body workouts. Do not underestimate the power of taking pump during your lower body sessions. Okay. My glutes were hard. They were screaming and they were cramping so hard because they were just so full of blood and like volumed. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, this is embarrassing, but I love it. But
your butt looks like that a lot of the time.
Okay. Well, it was even more.
I just want you to know
that. It was in HD. So I get up and I'm like, I'm having to like stretch it out and it's like, oh, this fucking hurts. So the weight that I'm normally used to, or that I had done for the 2 previous sets was heavy, that I only got 8 reps effectively because it was hurting so bad. I just could not fathom doing any more. And I knew if I went to do 9 or 10, I would have been cheating range of motion and it would have just been a hot mess express. And I'm like, I'm not even bothering with that.
How do we know if you're doing the range of motion well? One thing that I've been saying a lot actually is that whenever you're trying to get to the top of an exercise, whether it is hip thrusters, kickbacks, whatever, we're going to get to some detail work in a minute as well. But whenever you're up at the top, everybody kind of wants to like pump it. They're like, oh yeah, 1, 2, 3,
They're
4.
like flicking it.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, stop humping the ceiling. And you're not a bunny rabbit. And I want you to come up to the top. I want you to squeeze your ass cheeks. And I want you to be like, yeah, that's my butt. And then you can come back down.
Yeah.
And then I want you to come up and we're like, yeah, that's my butt.
Squeeze from the butthole.
And then, yes, squeeze your butthole. Okay. Yeah. If you don't squeeze your butthole, it's probably too heavy. If you cannot squeeze your cheeks and your asshole at the same time, it's probably too heavy.
You know what I've noticed too is when you do that, when you squeeze from the butthole, which is a thing, right? We're not just making that up. I promise. We did not make it up, but it is a thing.
We did not.
And when you focus on that, like I'm doing it right now. Like you actually have to, like, I know y'all listening in the car and on the treadmill and on the stair mill and all that.
Squeeze your butt.
Squeeze your butthole and tell me that you're not going to squeeze your butt cheeks at the same time. I find that honestly kind of helps you get into the proper position for full hip extension.
Yes.
At the top. And it takes the pressure off of your low back because you're not dumping into your low back and your belly's all relaxed and your butthole's all relaxed and just everything's all like fucking loosey-goosey.
A wet noodle.
Yeah. And you have to really focus on the intention because you're like putting your brain in your butthole and it's
she's squeezing it right now.
Yeah,
she had her eyes closed. For all y'all listening on the pod,
yes.
She had her eyes closed right now. She was squeezing it.
I was definitely getting into that.
So the next one going into that is going to be training frequency,
which we already kind of talked about, but we'll go into a little bit.
Yeah, let's get a little bit deeper into that because it's going to depend.
Yeah.
It's
really
also going to depend on, the intensity that you have. Obviously, we've been doing this a long time. So we do hit legs, lower body, quote unquote. Okay. Not necessarily legs. I know that one can mean one thing and another, but we hit lower body 4 days a week. Mm-hmm. However, by design, we have at least 1 day in between, or we are working one side one day and the other side the next day.
Meaning, like Fridays for us is glutes, which is usually like a touch-up day. We aren't trying to kill ourselves because we're already half dead that day.
Yeah, there's not a lot of like
crazy heavy,
big heavy movements. We do hip thrusts, but it's definitely not our heavy day typically.
It's like a pump day.
I love pump day.
Yes. So that will be our posterior chain.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So it's our glutes and our hamstrings. And then Saturday will be our quads. So that's what she's saying. Like we are doing lower, but it's not like we're hitting the backside, back to back, which some people can handle. And depending on the exercises you can, but not entirely necessary.
If you are just starting out, okay, or you're coming in and you're just like, oh, I want to like start working on some legs, by design in our studio, we definitely hit lower body 2 days a week, Mondays and Thursdays. Okay. So that's also with Glute Camp. I do my PM ones on Mondays and Thursdays because ain't nobody be at the gym typically on Friday night, right? I mean, I probably am, but that's different. So my AM classes are Tuesdays and Fridays. So you get a good amount of space in between those workouts so you can recover. And then hopefully you're not like hobbling in with some sore legs still.
Yeah. So let's just give a little spectrum. Okay. So for beginners, 2 days a week, like I'd say beginner, intermediate, right? 2 days a week is great.
Yeah.
All right. So like Glute Camp, perfect. If you are like a, recreational gym goer or whatever, you haven't really been serious about lifting or whatever, but you maybe are into fitness, just haven't lifted consistently, 2 days a week, you're going to see some great change with completely focusing on lower body.
Yes.
Okay. Especially because with us, we are going to be doing the heavier compounds. It's not going to be an hour of just fluffy exercises.
No.
So if you're intermediate, maybe you do 2 compounds like we do at Glute Camp and then, or 2 heavy days, I should say. And then you hit another day at the gym and your third day is like some of these other exercises we're going to talk about where they're more like isolations and they're more like specifically to target, like to make the glutes look 3D and have, you're hitting all the heads of the glutes. You can also add in a third day and it not be soul crushing, right? But this also just depends, like how's your recovery and all these things. There's a lot of different factors. And then people who've been lifting for a long time who have great recovery. And then those of us, let's be real, that are on physique enhancing drugs, you can lift typically more frequently because your recovery is better. That is a perk of PEDs. Not that I'm advocating, but it is just the truth. So it's really just depends on where you fall in there, and you have to just make that work for where you're at. And then we're going to talk about some other things that are important as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about the detail work.
Okay.
Those
so
are fun.
The 7th important thing, I feel like these need to be like the testaments and like the fucking Bible
of the
or
butt
something.
stuff.
Yeah. Is what we've been alluding to but haven't got to yet is incorporating isolation exercises.
My favorite kickbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of kickback. I don't give a shit what direction you want me to go. I'm going to be doing them all.
Yeah.
All of them.
Kickbacks are great. You can think of things like abductor exercises, whether that's sitting in the machine where your legs go out, the machine that every woman loves and hopes no guy makes eye contact with her while she's doing it.
I'd be like, looking. Hey.
Yeah. Be like, excuse me, what are you looking at? Eyes up here, buddy.
I make it uncomfortable. Make that shit uncomfortable.
Other isolation exercises are also things that you could do that you would use for like glute activation. So using bands and things like that are also another option for isolation type exercises.
Oh,
what?
I'm just thinking about all the things I want to do at the gym.
Are you getting excited? Do you want to go train right now?
No, not right now. But yes.
Yeah. So isolation exercises, don't leave those out. But I will say that we notice oftentimes we don't even speak to each other at the gym.
No.
But we will see people doing things and we're not making fun, but we're just like, we want to help that girl right there. Like, because we see it done wrong.
Yeah.
And isolation exercises like cable kickbacks are one of the exercises done the most incorrectly that I notice at the gym, at least when it comes to glute training.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I feel like what people do is they get in there, they either 1, they want to go super heavy, or 2, they want to go super fast. And I'm like, listen here, Linda. Slow your fucking roll, because all you're doing is probably more or less using your hamstring and not your glute. Because you're not taking that time to have it at the top, squeeze, hold, and be like, yeah, that's my butt.
And also the low back so much. I hear so much, oh my God, the kickbacks hurt my low back. And they used to hurt my back too, but I was doing them wrong this 10 years ago.
I'll tell you. So one really great tip is if your foot is going higher than your butt, or you even start to feel it a little bit in your low back, your foot is coming up too high.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to have a little bit of different flexibility on that. So some people may not even be able to get their foot like parallel. So if I would, if I was like leaned over with one leg on the ground and like flat back, when my leg comes up in the back, it should be a straight line. You should not be kicking it up higher than your back.
Yes.
Because you're going to feel it in your low back.
And also the standing leg that is not kicking back needs to be bent. If you are locking that out, a lot of times that's an issue. The other issue is that you're standing too far upright and you're not for me, and for when I coach this, I want my clients their upper body should be horizontal. You should look like an upside down L. Okay.
Yes.
So your upper body, you should be hinged at the waist. Your head you should be looking down, not up and around. And the weight should not be too heavy. Your standing leg should be bent. And the working leg should also have a slight bend in that knee too. That will also help. So
don't lock anything out, you guys. That is just not the business.
No. I mean, I can't think of anything right off the top of my head where I would say lock out your legs.
Knees.
Do not lock out your legs in a squat. Especially
at the top.
At the top, you want to keep tension. You don't want to do that whether it's a Smith machine or a, hack squat machine.
Even if you have just bands.
Yeah.
I know. Okay. So with a squat, right? That is everybody's favorite thing is to come up and squeeze their ass at the top.
So bad.
That is not where the work is supposed to be.
No, it's so bad for your lumbar spine.
It is so bad. So that's why in the beginning of this, I explained how you should be squeezing your glutes from the bottom through the full movement. You're wasting time if you are only squeezing at the top.
And I don't even know that it's squeezing because I feel that's probably like when you tell people to squeeze, they like tuck and they do like a thing here. I think it's just like tensing them and like flexing them.
Flex.
Like
that's a good word.
Like, I don't know, just like if somebody was to come punch you in the stomach, you would like tense your abs. That's what you want to do with your glutes, like through the motion. And you don't want to like tuck and like do this like weird butt tuck thing.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about depth for a second?
Let's go. I love getting deep.
If you squat so low, you look like a dog taking a shit on the lawn.
That's a problem.
That's a bad problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is going to be flexibility, friends.
Dog shitting. And what she means is like your back is hella arched, your butt tucks under, and all these weird things are happening because we do have some squat variations where we like a sissy squat with your, essentially like with your feet elevated or whatever. And we do want you getting depth there. But again, if there's a pelvic tuck that happens, we have to fix that.
Yeah. So basically to fix that, if that is something, if you don't know, video yourself. Okay. This is what we do with our ladies. We're like, video yourself. That's why when you guys see our videos, especially when we're solo by ourselves, we need to make sure that we're still doing stuff right.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't see ourselves while we're doing the movement.
Even all these years later, I still yes, okay, part of it is for like social media and having content and things. But the other piece of that is like, I want to make sure that I don't have a butt wink.
Right.
And I'm getting to depth or I'm getting full hip extension, just depending on what I'm doing. So yeah.
Yeah. So I know everybody likes to say ass to grass, but that is not technically true. And you should not be dropping it like it's hot.
That's another pet peeve.
That is in the club, okay?
That's okay in the club.
Not in the squat rack.
Mm-hmm. Or bouncing on a D. Okay, next one.
Recovery.
I don't even know. I think this is number 8. Yeah. Number 8, super important, very overlooked, but recovery is going to be important if you want your glutes to grow. That's all, folks.
I'm so sad I do not have a bigger bathtub because I refuse to sit in the midget bathtub that I have at my house.
Oh, your tiny baby bathtub?
Yeah. And so I do
care.
Not do Epsom salt baths.
Oh, no, I love it. I'm usually doing like 3-4 times a week.
My titties are hanging out. My knees are hanging out.
It's a situation.
I'm laying down. My butt's hanging out. I don't know. I'm not doing that.
But there are other ways to recover.
We have been stretching before I stretch multiple times throughout the day because I'm teaching at the studio. I've been foam rolling, which is amazing. Massage.
Yeah. My favorite is not your favorite.
Ugh.
The dry sauna.
Ew.
Yeah. Just to kind of like let my body calm down and just
No.
reset my brain after training. So recovery time is important. But aside from all these little techniques like foam rolling and stretching and, getting on, I have one of those like ab wheels or whatever, where you can like really just kind of stretch and get into like the zone, is sleep. Sleep.
I have been
good old fashioned fucking sleep. How about that?
Yes. If you're getting 6 hours of sleep, it's not enough, friends.
It's barely enough.
Listen.
This is the queen of.
I am the queen
Team No Sleep.
of Team No Sleep. Yes, I am. I am like go all day long. And I notice, if your scale's not moving, you're doing all the things, you're training, you're eating right, and your scale is not moving, and that is your goal, and that's where you should be doing with what plan you have, you need to go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Super important.
So important. Especially for my lovely ladies that wake up at the ass crack of dawn. Listen, bitch, go to bed.
Get off Instagram. We see you.
Yes. Okay. I actually have an alarm that goes off at 9:00. That's like, okay, listen.
Wind down.
You're running out of time. Okay. If you didn't do all your things yet, you need to like hustle and then get into bed. 10:00 is my cutoff, which I've been working on getting into bed by like 9. I try and beat the alarm.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work.
So sleep is important because your muscles are not building while you're training. They're actually tearing down and breaking. And so sleep is where the recovery process happens, and where the magic is going to be your sleep with your recovery process.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's move on so we can get these Q&As because we're running out of time.
Are we? Oh my gosh, we're talking too long. Okay. Next one. If you want your butt to grow, you have to be eating the correct amount of food to get your butt to grow. Okay. If you're on like a 1,200 calorie diet, and you're working out and you're training and you're doing all the cardio
and you're eating keto,
nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow your butt. Okay. This is one thing too that I know that a lot of people get really uncomfortable with: reverse diets, adding in more calories. And I'm like, listen, you came to me wanting to change the shape of your body. I cannot diet you down to 0 calories because that will not do anything for you.
No.
And you're not going to have enough energy to get your workouts in, your cardios in. Another thing that we need to do is stop eating a bunch of different shit every day.
Say more.
Say less. What do you want me to say?
Like, give me an example.
I mean, okay, so like we like to keep a little bit of variety, yes. And I know that like a lot of the times everybody's like, your food looks like diet food. And I'm like, listen, bitch, like perspective is everything, right? If you want some French toast, get you a piece of bread that is going to have a good amount of calories, and that's going to be like not a bunch of trash. And then get some egg whites, and there you go. You got some French toast.
Yeah, it's like we can make anything out of
like I don't
macros. Okay,
I don't know if y'all be seeing my tomato basil
fake pizza.
But I mean, listen, it fucking tastes like pizza. It's great.
But I mean, bottom line, if you want to grow your glutes and also be lean, because that's like what every fucking woman says to me. I want to grow my butt and be lean at the same time.
You cannot do both at the same time.
Okay. Well, for that to happen, we're probably going to need to be in maintenance calories for a while.
Guess what? You're probably going to gain a little bit of weight.
But also how many of you have, I can think of, I know one that's like screaming at me in my head right now that, scale weight hasn't changed a whole lot. Right. And, she's unhappy about it and she like wants to quit every 3 weeks or whatever. I feel like when her period comes.
Right.
And I'm like looking at her pictures. I'm like, does she see what happened here? Because this body is not like this body, even though the scale is like a 4-pound difference less, like she weighs less, but, it's been some time and I'm like, that's a whole different ass.
Yeah. I feel
like no cellulite now.
I have a whole lot of ladies that are just like, thinking that the scale's not moving, so nothing's changing. And I'm like, wait a minute, listen, Look at when we started. Look at now. Your scale weight may have only gone down maybe 5 pounds, but your body looks like you've lost 10 to 15.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, my clothes fit differently. My pants are, super loose. The waist is, I need a belt now, like all these things. And it's like with time, if we get you into a deficit and all that, sure, the scale can move. But like, if your priority is like, no, I want some nice legs. I want a nice ass. I want to look shapely. Then you have to be willing to be comfortable with not seeing this dramatic weight loss, because that's not the goal. They're two opposing goals: fat loss, muscle gain, opposites. Teeter totter. Okay.
Yes, you cannot do both of those at the same time.
There is a possibility for body recomposition, but again, the scale is not going to do a whole lot, which just means you're going to add muscle and lose some body fat, but it's not going to show much by the way of the scale. And people are always like, oh, is my fat turning to muscle? No, honey boo boo. They're two different tissues on your body. One does not turn into the other. One just disappears and the other one, increases, which is what you want over time.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, tie it all up with a pretty little bow.
Consistency is the key to the booty gains. Okay. Now, that is why we're just telling you right now that you should be training glutes or lower body twice a week if you are just beginning. Now, listen, if you've been in the game a little bit longer, you might want to go ahead and do it a little bit more than that. But, if you're just like, oh, I'm going to train for 3 weeks and then you're not going to train for 2 weeks and then you're going to go back in and you're not. And then, no, honey, boo boo. No.
No.
She said no. Okay.
Yeah, you have to just know that if this is your goal and you want to look like this all the time, you're going to have to do this shit forever. Okay. You really are. Like, you can't just join. This is what drives me crazy. And like, as a business owner, I like want to shake people because they want this thing and they want it like in 3 months. And then they want to just be like, well, it didn't happen in 3 months, so I'm quitting. And I'm like, okay, what is the alternative? Now you're just going to go back to sitting on the couch and then it's going to happen that way?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Yeah. I feel like that's a thing too. It's like most folks. Okay.
Most folks that aren't you guys, because y'all are smart now that
you guys are listening.
We edumacated you.
Okay. Most folks will look at a before and after and be like, I want that. Do you know how much time it took to do that?
A lot of time.
A lot of time.
A lot.
Okay. A lot.
Yeah. So
and if it wasn't a lot of time, how much did it hurt?
Well, and everybody would do it.
Yeah.
If it was that easy.
Exactly.
So you have to just head down and do it. And if you're like, man, I've been doing this forever, I'm doing everything you said 100% perfect. Well, if you're only accountable to yourself, meaning you have not gone out and sought a personal trainer or somebody to help you on nutrition, even though you think you eat good, air quotes, then you probably don't have the reality check of you likely are missing something somewhere along those lines of these things that we're discussing today.
I just got a brand new client today. She's been doing all the things forever. And she's telling me, and I'm like, yeah, I believe she's actually doing the things. So we're going to figure out what's happening, where things are going wrong.
That's exciting.
And she's already hit up Magnus for hormones.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Which that's probably like a bonus tip, is that if your hormones are trash, then everything we just talked about for the last hour is pointless.
Ding, ding,
ding. Sorry, not sorry. It's just the reality of it.
Was that number one that we were talking about?
That probably should have been number one, but I'll link up the people we use for hormonal health, Magnus Medical. I think it's Magnus. It was Forever Young, but they're based out of Las Vegas and they do everything telemed. And that's where I go. That's where she goes. That's where a lot of our athletes go and our non-athletes go. So they will hook you up with the test you need to make sure that your shit is firing on all cylinders so you can have that ass. Otherwise you won't. Okay. Questions.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through these. Let's see. We're already.
Ooh, we better hurry.
Yeah. So we'll answer a few of these, but I feel like this was already answered. Why are rest days from weight training important? You want to make sure that you are not overtraining. You want to make sure that you recovered. There is a point of diminishing returns where you just don't keep adding more and more and more and more on top of things. So you want to let your body heal. Like we talked about earlier, it is like these little tears in your muscles. You want those to repair so then you can come back in the gym and progressively overload. If you're constantly drilling down your body, you don't give it a chance to recover and repair, you're not going to be able to do that. So that is why rest days are important.
Yeah, I got one. What is the best warm-up exercise to activate your glutes?
We
already went through that. So what are your top 3 exercises for getting a shelf? Everything we talked about today.
Yeah. This question is, how can you tell if you're gaining muscle if you are on the thicker side?
Get your body fat tested.
That would be one way.
Yeah.
Another way is if you are gaining muscle, the other part of this question should be is if you are losing body fat in that process, much like with the client I was talking to you about her, you should see visibly your body change in pictures and also in your measurements and your clothing.
More lines.
And more lines too. You should see more definition. But again, if you're on the thicker side, that might be challenging because body fat's going to cover that. The reason why if you have more muscle tissue, your measurements will be less and I'm having a hard time making words. Your clothes should be looser is because muscle takes up less space than body fat. So think of like a smooth piece of like a tri-tip roast, like a lean piece of steak, right? Very lean, very smooth. And think of like a bowl of like lard or something, right? Where it's like chunky and squishy and mushy, and it's like more voluminous. And they could weigh the same amount, right? You put 5 pounds of muscle and it's smooth and tight and more compact.
It's gonna look like this.
And then you put on, you've had to have seen these images where there's a side by side on the internet of like 5 pounds of muscle and 5 pounds of fat, and how fat takes up way more space. So as your body changes, as you're lifting, if you aren't in a calorie surplus and you are, at maintenance, or you're in a deficit and you're wanting to see definition, you should see your body shape start to change that way.
Yeah, look at us. We're going through it quick.
This is a good one. Best way to manage stress during prep: stay in your house and don't go anywhere.
Hide in your house. Hide in your house.
I mean, basic stress relieving techniques are going to help. That would help you in day-to-day scenarios. Meditation, hot baths, massage, yoga, staying off social media if that's a trigger for you. Whatever triggers you, avoid that. People who stress you out, avoid them, or like don't be around them as frequently.
If you cannot avoid those people, take a break. Go for a little baby walk.
Yeah. What other suggestions
Go hide
do
in the
you have for
laundry
that?
room, whatever you got to do. I usually call my friends and tell them I need help. And then they talk me off the ledge. What do I do? What do you do when I tell you when you're stressed? What do I tell you?
I don't know. You just pet me and I feel better.
It's okay. It's
okay.
Be fine.
What can I do for you? That's always
That is what I say.
That is your question. You're a great prep mommy. We call each other prep mommies because we can't think logical thoughts in prep. So we have to, be each other's brain. So find a prep mommy who can tell you when you're being an asshole and ask you if there's anything they can do for you. But really, prep is just a stressful scenario, is a stressful thing to endure. It gets increasingly more stressful the closer that you get. And you really just have to have a mindset about it as like, it comes with the territory. You signed up for this. It's a choice. It's not an obligation. It should be fun. You have to remind yourself of that oftentimes. You should be grateful that you're able to do this, right? It should be an extension of your fitness life. And, you have to take it in stride. Okay. We'll probably take 2 more questions. When do you typically register for a show, and do you wait 4 to 6 weeks out or 12 weeks out? I generally will not have my athletes register for shows until about 4 weeks out. There's no magical reason for this other than life is lifey. Shit happens. People die. Kids get sick. Dogs get sick. People lose their jobs. Like all kinds of life still happens when you're in prep. And back in the day, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to make my girls register
early,
12 weeks out. I was like, I need to know you got skin in the game because I have people dropping like flies all the time because prep is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And so I would make them register full on, like before we even would really get going good.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore. That was probably 10 years ago. But I tell them to wait about 4 weeks out. And I know sometimes then they're like, oh, but there's an early bird registration and this and that. And I'm like, well, that's on you. But if I were you, I would wait because if you're not ready, if like things stall and we're like, nope.
Well, I mean, I'm a perfect example of this. Last year, we projected June, but I didn't get on stage till July.
Exactly. So
I mean, I could have still done June. It would have been fine, but we wanted to push and come in really good for that show. So we waited. There's always going to be another show. However, if you are like, I'm doing this show, stop being like, if I do this show.
right.
I talked to somebody in the studio yesterday and I was like, so how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, if I make it. And I said, no, we don't do that. It's not if you make it. It's when you make it.
Right.
You're gonna make it. You're gonna do it. That is what it is. If you're making that like commitment to yourself, you're also putting yourself through prep. Even if you only make it 10 weeks out, it's not easy. You're still running your ass ragged. So
Yeah.
make the fucking commitment, get your ass there, do what you're supposed to do. And, stay in touch with your coach. Tell them how you're feeling.
Okay, last question. There were some other good ones, but we gotta get rolling here. So question is thoughts on muscle building supplements, not PEDs. Are they worth it? I mean, yes. Creatine and the two basics that I'll have my girls on are creatine and HMB. And I believe HMB stands for like hydroxymethylbutate or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
Something like that.
But I will have them on those two. The thing with those is that's a long game. Okay. That's not like PEDs, which PEDs stands for physique enhancing drugs. Cause I get that question all the time. Cause I just assume everybody forget.
Knows what that means.
I'm like, forget. Yeah. Curse of knowledge. So creatine isn't something you can take, occasionally.
I did have this question yesterday as if they should be taking it every day.
Every single day.
Every day. Doesn't matter if you're training or not.
Exactly.
Every day.
Every single day. Creatine takes a little bit longer to get into your system. So some people will load it and do it over the course of 7 days, but I don't like doing that because it causes some stomach upset situations and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So usually it's like a 30 days for it to fully saturate and start kind of doing its thing. But I mean, my 17-year-old is on creatine. He's been on it for the whole year. I mean, he's looking pretty great. Plus he has the genetics and also
he does.
And
if you guys
17.
ever see Tyson, he is 17. He's put in some work. He's lost a lot of weight, but also his mom and his dad are pretty buff anyways.
We're pretty sexy people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely worth it, I would say. But you got to keep those things in consistently. You can't just take it. I mean, just like a year, and then keep taking it.
Yeah.
Like,
keep going.
When I'm not doing PEDs, I'm doing creatine. So there's that. If I have a little break off of some stuff to give my body, my liver and all the things a break, then I will do creatine and HMB. So
love it.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty. I think.
Oh, wait. What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening?
As of March 27th and March 28th, if you are local and you are a woman and you want to get all of this info in person as well as train with the Glute, the fairy godmother of Modesto.
Yes, Coach Glitter. Glitter gang.
Me, okay. I only have a few more spots left in my 5 and my 6 a.m. and then my 5 and my 6 p.m. These are going to be twice a week, no matter what. We've got a link. She'll probably post it on there. This is the last one, friends, until, August, September. We're going to give, so don't be getting no FOMO. Okay. We told you. We've been rolling them out in the beginning of the year right now, but obviously we know summer is coming. My birthday is coming. So we're going to give it a little bit of a rest and then we're going to bring it back in August or September. So if you have been thinking about it and you're like, oh, I really want to do it, but you haven't jumped on board yet, I've got so many women that are just like, yep, it was amazing. I love it. They come back for more. I have so many repeat clients. So, if you want to fill those last couple of spots,
Glute camp.
let us know.
glute camp in Modesto. Who knew?
Modesto, California.
Who knew we'd be the glute capital of the city? Oh, so much fun. I love it though. Okay. That was wonderful. Have a great rest of your day. And hopefully we brought some joy to your life today.
Bye.
Bye. Boss bitch. Thank you for listening to Boss Bitch Radio. It would mean the world to me if you could rate and review the podcast. If you could give us a 5-star review on iTunes, drop us a little comment. We will read those, and we offer prizes as a ethical bribe for you to leave us some great mojo and words of affirmation. You know, that is my love language. And also, if you're over on Spotify, you can rate and review it there as well. All of this helps other women, other people, other folks see us, hear us, and learn from all of the amazing boss bitch tools and hacks, and hopefully get some LOLs. And if not, if anything, if you could share this with one person, I'd love you forever. And I know you are just here for my undying love. And last but not least, please, 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 please come find me over on Instagram so we can be buddies. We can be Insta fam over there. I am Diane Flores _IFBB_pro. Come say hi, drop me a DM, let me know what you think of the podcast. I'm always open for new suggestions and feedback as well. And I hope you listen again soon.